I'm looking out my driver's side door. I'm watching somebody or something move through the tree line. Just be cool, okay?
Often, I head out into the forest to simply enjoy nature, to hear the songs of my feathered friends, the wind blowing through the trees, and marvel at the simultaneous complexity and simplicity of the natural world. It's my happy place, the realm in which I feel the most engaged, connected, alive. Once in a while, though, I go for something else. I go to look for answers to questions both tangible and esoteric. I go to think, ponder, hope, and dream. The big stuff, the hows and whys of reality and my place in all of it. And I often find myself asking a question that both thrills and terrifies, and always simmers under the surface of the day-to-day dullness and monotony of our everyday life. Is this it? Or is the physical world as we know it just a facade, a shell, a fraction of all the possibilities and realms of existence? I go now looking for answers, but find only more questions. Well, good morning, my friends. Welcome to the Michaux State Forest. And we have arrived at the Anna Michner Cabin, where I will be spending the evening here in Dead Woman's Hollow. It's Saturday, October 11th. The sun is shining through the trees, and we have this amazing place to ourselves. It's going to be quite a 24-hour adventure. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate you. Let the fun begin. It is a little before 8:30 a.m. and we are inside this rustic cabin, this log cabin built in the 1960s, and no electricity, no running water, and it's pretty dark in here. I'm trying to get the windows open, but you can see that we are going to be largely dependent on natural light, just like you would in a real cabin. And I brought plenty of lanterns and candles and things, but yeah, this is pretty atmospheric. It's a 3-room cabin, so we're in the main room. There's a table, a little fireplace, as I said, some windows, a couple stoves here, and it's pretty simple, which is exactly what I want. They got plenty of little firewood here to get started. There's 2 bunk rooms behind me. So let's turn the camera around and check out the bunk rooms. Pretty small little room here. Wooden bunks. And the mattresses are in this cage here. This is, oh man, I've only been here for like 5 minutes and this is wild already. So right now, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I don't really know which way to go or what to do. I think part of it is going to be dictated by the weather, however. So while we have some nice sunshine right now and blue skies, that's going to be changing as the hours progress. There's a front moving in, and we're going to have rain tonight, probably. Tomorrow, definitely. It may start as early as this afternoon. So I think I'm going to go for a hike. I think there's a vista point down the trail a bit. It's interesting, the cabin here. We're in this patch of woods surrounded by these areas that were logged, and it's kind of like open, but we're in this area where there's like trails that actually crisscross through here. And as a matter of fact, one of the first things that happened when I got here was just when I got in the cabin, a lone hiker came right past the cabin. So that's one thing I'm a little bit concerned about being out here by myself is, you know, do we get any kind of like random foot traffic or people trying to come and hang out here, take pictures, you know, sit on the swing right here like I am, you know. So I'm a little iffy about that, but I think we're going to go for a hike now while we have the sunlight. And some of the things I had planned to do, like this evening, if it rains, that's going to kind of change all that. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. So we're heading down the Blueberry Trail right now, and there should be a vista down the trail not too far, and then we're going to try to make a little bit of a loop back to the cabin. And decent fall colors right now. It's still you know, like an off year. It's not peak, but there's some oranges and some yellows here in the forest. The weather is just perfect, and it's not going to get too cold tonight because of those clouds and that warm front, that weather pattern moving in. So that might work to our advantage because it's pretty cold in that cabin. Super quiet out here on the trail. It's gorgeous. I just so fascinated by these open, barren type landscapes. They're probably my favorite type of places to hike through. Looks like we may be coming out to that vista point here. Wow. Well, I think this is a good spot for me to sit down and have my BLT I picked up this morning on the ride in and enjoy the view. Leaving Blueberry Trail Vista, and there was a little side trail coming in right before we got to the overlook there, and I think I could take that to make a little loop back to the cabin. So one of the reasons I wanted to come out and spend the night at Michner Cabin is because, for one, you got to hike into it, and for two, because it's completely rustic, and I thought that just would be a really unique, really fun experience. But this area of Pennsylvania, in particular the Michaux State Forest, has a long history of like really strange things happening. There have been many Bigfoot sightings in this part of the forest, ghost stories, paranormal stories, and you know that all those kinds of things interest me. So I thought, being it's so close to Halloween, how cool would it be to spend a night out here in the woods where Bigfoot may very well roam. Now, I was hoping to possibly do a nighttime hike, but if it's going to rain, I'm not going to do that. But it should be a bit of a spooky evening back at the cabin. Now we're on this, according to all trails, this is a trail. I think this is an old like fire break from when they did like maybe controlled burns back here to help with this habitat creation. And we got all this sweet fern down in here, but wow, this ain't really much of a trail. All right, so we are back from our hike, and it's about midday right now. And you can see I have all the windows open, and even with all the windows open, the sun's beginning to hit. We're getting a lot more clouds now, so you're not going to get a lot of light in here. So I do have some lanterns and some candles, but one thing I would recommend if you are going to stay here, you need a couple really, really bright lanterns, because as you can see, this is as bright as it gets in here. This is midday. So the first gray clouds, first storm clouds are starting to roll in, and I'm getting my firewood ready. I'm going to get it inside so it's nice and dry, and that's taken care of. Oh, I'm starting to feel that early afternoon sleepiness, so I think I might take my contacts out, have another little bite to eat, and there's a couple guitars in the cabin actually, so maybe I'll mess around with that. I used to try to play just a little bit many years ago, so I can't really play anything, but I'll mess around with it. Let me tell you a little story about a girl I used to know. Her name was Mary Lou, and I loved her ever so. One day I told Mary Lou, I'm heading out to the woods. I won't be gone long. And when I came back from them woods, Mary Lou was long gone. Oh, Mary Lou. That's all I got, and that's why she's gone. All right, so it's about 4 o'clock, and I want to start heating this cabin up because I know it's going to be chilly in here tonight. It's actually cooler in here than it is outside, but let's see if we can get this fire started. All right, so I was just looking around the cabin and checking some things out, and I found this pamphlet with some basic information. And let me give you a little general information about the cabin's history. The Anna Michner Cabin It's a 3-room cabin located on South Mountain, about 5 miles in either direction from Pine Grove Furnace to the north and Miles Burn Cabin to the south. It is a mile south of the Tumbling Run Game Preserve, a private inholding in the Michaux State Forest, and a mile east of Ridge Road, which is where we parked, a gravel road which connects to Shippensburg Road. Construction of the cabin took PATC volunteers, Potomac Appalachian Trail Club, that's who owns this cabin and many other cabins like this. Construction of the cabin took volunteers, some of whom were skilled craftsmen, 3 years to build. It was dedicated to Anna M. Michner, a longtime member, ardent trail worker, and club office holder. Finished in 1966, the cabin today still reflects, despite its heavy use, the careful workmanship which went into its construction. It is popular for family use because of its large size, separate bunk rooms, and proximity to hiking trails and a small stream. In December of 2006, renters carelessly in the handling of candles and liquid fuel caused a serious fire in the main room of the cabin. 31 volunteers from PATC were able to repair the resulting extensive damage during a single weekend to the condition you see today. All right, guys. So remember a little bit earlier in this video, I was telling you that this forest and this area is known for some strange things. And I was just scouring about for some kindling because you're supposed to replace on the inside what you use. I didn't use much, but I was walking down this little game trail not far from the cabin, and I found something really weird. Obviously somebody's playing a little joke, but what the hell is this? Somebody trying to do a little Blair Witch vibe or something? I don't know what to do. I don't like leaving it there. Should I cut it down? Should I cut it down and destroy it? Or should I leave it? I mean, it's a flimsy little thing. Somebody trying to be funny here. As we get closer to dusk. Just great. Just the vibes I need here. It is dinner time, and I found a pot that doesn't have mouse droppings in it. So we're going to go with that one. And of course, you've seen it's Denny Moore beef stew. And heat and eat, very simple. But you know, it's a hearty enough meal, and it'll hit the spot. And it's easy cleanup. So that's all I'm looking for here. So the rain looks like it's holding off. So it might not hit till later tonight. And I was thinking about having a fire outside, but I didn't want to have one outside and have one inside. Although it is starting to finally warm up in here. But about another hour, the sun's going to drop over the hillside, maybe less than that now. And we'll have to light up this place as best we can with the lanterns I got and some candles, and then we'll talk a little bit about some things. So how did this area become known as Dead Woman's Hollow? Well, that's a good question, and nobody really knows for sure. Now, many people believe that the name comes from a gruesome murder that occurred not too far from here. I believe it was in the 80s. There were two young women who were backpacking along the Appalachian Trail. They were on like an overnight trip, and they were lovers. And there was a man in the area who was kind of like an interloper, someone who kind of like comes and goes, and he was kind of like living in the woods and was kind of a loner and kind of weird. And basically what happened was he found these women while they were together and shot both of them. And one lady unfortunately died, and the other lady, who was shot 4 times, he left them for dead. She was shot 4 times, and I believe, or 5 times, and she managed to walk 4 miles back to a road and get help, and she survived. And that's a horrible, tragic story, but that's not the actual reason why this location is called Dead Woman's Hollow. Because the name long predates that tragic incident. Now, right where we parked the truck, about a mile away, that actually was Dead Woman's Hollow Road. And you can see over there the trail right in front of the cabin that says Dead Woman's Hollow Trail. That's probably how we'll walk out tomorrow. But one theory I saw on that I saw online that was like pretty plausible and likely was that a woman was found face down in the early 1900s, right around this area, and the cause of death is uncertain, but it's believed that it was from a snake bite, a rattlesnake bite. And you see some, where I parked, there was a bulletin board, and there was some signage indicating that there is a rattlesnake population in this area. And I'm sure, 150 years ago, there were many more snakes. So, Dead Woman's Hollow, it has certainly a spooky connotation. So because this forest is known to be an active location for Bigfoot sightings, and it's my one and only night here, I have this apple. And this apple is a peace offering for any Bigfoot that might come through here. They call this gifting. Basically the idea is, by giving this gift, basically I'm saying that I'm friendly and I mean no harm. And we'll check tomorrow morning to see if the apple is still there. Because if the apple is taken, now of course you could say like, well, maybe an animal took it. Yes, but if we place this apple, I'm gonna drop it right on the ash pit here. Okay? This big prominent pit away from the cabin. I'm gonna put it right on top. And if it's a Bigfoot that takes the apple and not any other animal, you should leave a gift in return, some sort of trinket or something. So we'll see. An offering of peace. Darkness has fallen, and this is the vibe here in the Anna Michner Cabin, the cabin in the woods. So it's about 8 o'clock now, and I'm going to try one more thing that's a little bit controversial. I'm going to try what's called wood knocking. And supposedly, if you knock on a tree and there's any kind of Bigfoot in the area, you'll hear a response. So I'm going to find a tree, and I set this up near the picnic table, and we'll do a couple knocks and see if we get any kind of response. Then we'll sit out on the porch and see if we hear anything. I'll try one more time. So, do you believe? Do you believe in Bigfoot? The stories have been told for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Virtually every Native American tribe has a legend or an oral tradition, a word of mouth story about a large, hairy, half man, half beast out in the woods. I'd like to believe. I'm skeptical, but I find it fascinating. So one of the things about me that's interesting that you may not know is, you probably, if you're watching the channel, obviously know that I love hiking. But, you know, there's more to me than just hiking in nature. I've long had a fascination with the occult, the paranormal, kind of scary stuff, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, cryptids, Dogman, you know, skinwalkers, legends, tales, all those kind of things. And I just think it's interesting. What I call myself is like a skeptic, someone who wants to believe but skeptical. I've seen a few interesting things in the skies that were interesting enough that other people saw them as well and reported them to the news, and it turns out there was natural terrestrial causes for them, but they kind of freaked me out at the time. So, of the big three, Bigfoot, UFOs, and ghosts, I'm going to give my rankings of what I think is most likely to be true or not true. So number one, the least likely to probably be real is Bigfoot, for the reason being that no body has ever been discovered, no DNA has ever been discovered. Now, you do have the Patterson-Gimlin film, the world-famous footage of the Bigfoot, alleged Sasquatch creature, walking across the creek in California. I think it was in the 60s or 70s. But with all the hunters out there and all the people and all the hikers and all the cameras, I just think that if there was an actual Bigfoot, I mean, if it was an actual species, a living species, there would have to be bones, there would have to be bodies, they would have to procreate to keep going over all this time. And in a country and in a world where their habitat's constantly shrinking. So I don't think Bigfoot is a likely scenario. I give that one from 1 to 10. 10 being I definitely believe. The one I don't believe at all. I give that one like a 3. The next one, ghosts. Ghosts is a very kind of like creepy thing to talk about, especially when you're here sitting in a cabin by yourself in Dead Woman's Hollow. And I keep thinking about all these windows I got all around, and like, what if I suddenly seen a face while looking in the window? But anyway, I think ghosts are interesting because they're in every culture through all the course of history, on every continent, every civilization. There's common ghost stories and lore. And if you're a religious person, you may believe in angels and demons and an afterlife. And I know a lot of people that think that say they've seen ghosts or spirits or unexplainable things. And I hope this cabin's not haunted. But I've never seen anything myself personally, although I have done some investigations. A couple years ago, I did an investigation at a place called the Brinton Lodge in Douglasville, Berks County, Pennsylvania. Allegedly haunted place, and we did a little investigation. I have a video on that. I'm a little more willing to believe on this one because as I get older in life, the more experience I have, I'm more open. I'm not more closed-minded, I'm more open-minded to possibilities of things. There's things that have happened that I didn't ever think would happen in my lifetime, and then they just happen. Like COVID, for example, that was such a crazy time. You spend your whole entire life living normally, going out and about, breathing air, not thinking anything about it, and then all of a sudden, this disease starts coming around, and then they ask you to wear a mask, and then they say, well, you probably should stay in your house and not have minimal contact with other people. And then remember, 2 weeks to stop the spread, right? That lasted 4 years? I'm just using that as an example of I'm getting off track, but something that can happen where you think the world's one way and all of a sudden something happens and bang, it's a different way. So I'm open to ideas, not closed-minded. So the last thing I'll talk about is, so I gave ghosts a 5. The next thing is aliens, UFOs. I'm a big believer that we're not alone in this world.
Oh, fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. Well, if there's look at that thing. It's rotating.
I do think our planet is being visited by extraterrestrial species. I don't think they're monitoring our planet. Some people say they created us as human beings. It's a controversial topic for some. It's been in the news a lot. If it's something you pay attention to, this is the most incredible time in history because the American government is having all of these hearings where they are presenting evidence, the government itself.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at the fly.
We have these things on radar, we have visuals, we have eyewitness reports.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists. UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human.
We have things classified that we can't even show you, but we can still show you some of these videos and things. And there's this idea called disclosure. And disclosure is the idea of the government openly coming out and saying, okay, yes, UFOs are real and they're here. And how people would react to that. Some people would freak out. Some people would say, well, hey, there's nothing I can do about it. But I would put the existence of aliens or extraterrestrials, and I think they've been here for thousands of years. I would put that at pretty close to a 9. I won't say 10, but I'll say 9. The universe is too vast, and some people, you may be watching this, you may be a religious person, and that's fine. There's room for everything, and nothing gets excluded because you believe in one thing that you can't believe in another, and that's what I'm saying about being open-minded. So, yeah, by the time you see this video, it's going to be around Halloween, so I'm just kind of talking about scary stuff. Now, I was actually at one point going to start a second channel and just focus on ghost stories and scary stories and UFO stories, and there's a lot of channels like that. I watch a lot of that stuff. If you think I only watch hiking videos, no, it's not true. I watch a lot of a lot of weird stuff, you know what I mean? Cryptids and monsters and Bigfoots, and that's what YouTube keeps feeding me, so obviously I keep clicking on it. But yeah, it's just, I don't even know why I'm getting myself all worked up now. Here I am all alone in the woods, you know. But yeah, some interesting things to talk about here on this video. So just giving you a different side of me and some food for thought. I'd love to know what you think. If you believe in any of that stuff, or you think it's all hogwash, that's fine too. But here's the thing about UFOs. Millions of people have claimed to see something over the years. Very credible people. Now, obviously, most cases would be misidentification. Some people just make stories up. Some people lie. Some people do all these things. But just think about this and remember this. If just one of the hundreds of thousands of stories is real, that means the phenomenon is real. Well, everything's been pretty quiet here in the cabin. It's about 9 o'clock now. And it's gotten plenty warm in here. I don't know about in that back room, but probably going to turn in pretty soon. Lock the door, and I might go outside one more time and sit out there for a little bit and just listen to the sounds of nature. The skies are getting cloudy, so I think that rain is starting to move in. Maybe we'll hear it at some point tonight. It's been an interesting day and evening here at the Michner Cabin. I've had a good time. Good morning, 6 a.m. and we have survived our night in the cabin alone in the woods. Pretty quiet night, actually. Rain started around midnight, and slept pretty well, actually. So I guess I'll begin to get stirring up here pretty soon. I got to clean the cabin. There's a checklist of things I got to do, and then we'll probably be hiking out in the rain. But yeah, just laying here listening to the rain, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. I gotta dump these ashes from the fire on our ash pit before we leave. So we'll head out there now. We'll see if our apple is still there or if it's gone. Our apple is still there. So no Bigfoot activity last night. That's for sure. It was a nice and quiet night. All right, well that is it for the Mitchner Cabin. It's 8 a.m. and I'm heading back to the car. I followed all the posted rules and regulations, returned the cabin in a condition as good or better than I found it, and it's time to head out the door. So here are my thoughts on the cabin itself, the Anna Michner Cabin. I believe it was like $55 to rent the cabin, so that's a very reasonable price. But you have to know what you're getting and what you're paying for. You're paying for a truly rustic experience. So it's almost like, imagine if you were living, you know, in the 1800s, and you know, you have a little outhouse. You have to get your water through a spring. There's no electricity. And the hardest thing to get used to for me was the absence of natural light within the cabin. I never really got quite acclimated to that. And I probably should have had even like a brighter, stronger lantern or two to bring with me. And I think because I'm a kind of guy that's like so wound up all the time, I can't just go from a work week where I'm all, you know, go, 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 to coming to a place like here where like time kind of like stands still. And I had trouble adjusting with that. I need like more than one day to unwind and slow my pace down. So I got kind of restless and kind of bored, to be honest. I didn't know what to do with myself after a while. But you know, the cabin is like about 65 years old. So it's got some wear and tear on it. It was clean overall. Eventually warmed up nicely with the fireplace, but a lot of the utensils and the pots and pans are kind of icky and grimy, and I don't know. I wanted a rustic experience. I got one. I think one night was enough. Originally I was going to do 2 nights, but I couldn't make it here on Friday. I had to get here Saturday morning. It's now Sunday morning, so I think that was enough. And I'm glad I did it. It was interesting. Definitely got a nice moody vibe with this fog here now. So it's a good time. The other aspect of this video that I was, you know, curious about, trying to work something on, was to see if anything strange or unusual would happen during the course of the night. So, you know, we did the knocking on the trees, didn't hear any response, put the apple out, didn't take it, didn't hear or see anything strange. It was a very quiet night. Peaceful night, actually. So I guess the most disturbing thing about the night was actually just being out there by myself. For some reason, I felt a little more on edge at the cabin than I did, I think, if I would have been in a tent. I don't know, maybe it was all the windows. I kept thinking someone or something was going to look in on me. And we had our little conversation about my thoughts on some, you know, some out there things, and that got me a little riled up there for a second. But other than that, I mean, this ambiance here right now, I mean, look at this. This looks like a haunted forest with all them dead looking trees out there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it, guys. The Anna Michner Cabin, the cabin in the woods, Dead Woman's Hollow. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. And if you could, please give it a like. And I'll see you on the next one. I need to get some good breakfast and some good coffee in me. Got a long ride home. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Gator out. Happy Halloween.